Walibi Holland is the top coaster destination in the Netherlands. This former Six Flags park features one of the best top threes in the world with Untamed, Goliath, and Lost Gravity. But which of those coasters are the best, and how does the rest of the ride lineup stack up? Find out in this video as I rank this park's top 15 rides and attractions. Before starting the countdown, I want to note a few rides that will not be on this list. First, I haven't done many of the park's upcharge attractions, including their weird-looking sky coaster. Therefore, they will not be on this list. Second, El Condor will not be on the list either. This is the prototype Vekoma SLC. While the ride was recently given new trains with vest restraints that eliminate headbanging, this coaster tracks very poorly. If you've ridden T3, you know SLCs can still be comically bad even without headbanging. My back was viciously slammed back and forth throughout much of the layout. It was not enjoyable. Starting off the list at number 15 is G-Force. Huss Enterprises are becoming less common, so it's always fun to ride one. You get some solid G's at the start of the spin, and this one tilts high enough so you fully invert. Number 14, Grand Roo. This 15-story tall Vekoma Ferris wheel offers some fantastic views of the entire park, especially some of the more secluded coasters like Express and Goliath. Number 13, Spinning Vibe. This Huss Magic ride is basically an inverted breakdance. You get some forceful spins with the rotation of your car and the main arms when they sync up. It is a shame more of these weren't built because they're solid flat rides. Like the other one I encountered on my 2022 Europe trip, it was closed at Walibi, but I did ride on my first visit back in 2019. Number 12, Tomahawk. This SBF Visa Frisbee runs a solid cycle. It really does look like a Huss Frisbee, but the swings are a little bit faster. You only get a little weightlessness at points in this one, but this ride is more about the spinning. The ride gets particularly intense in the second half when it kicks into overdrive. Number 11, Blast. This Huss top spin features a weirdly colorful paint scheme, but it offers a familiar ride experience. You have a slow flip with nice hang time, followed by a rapid series of forceful flips. I wish there were more inversions, but the ones you get are satisfying. Number 10, Space Shot. This S&S shot tower stands 197 feet or 60 meters tall. You have some audio effects during the launch sequence, but rather than being space or rocket themed, you hear the sounds from a NASCAR race, which is very odd. But it does mask when you shoot upwards. The launch itself is just okay in terms of power, and the floater airtime at the top wasn't too crazy, but you do get a nice but fleeting view. Number 9, Merlin's Magic Castle. I think this ride's exterior is downright hideous with the graffiti, but the on-ride experience is fine. You have a pre-show in a Vekoma Madhouse. It's set up similarly to the Houdini rides at the Six Flags parks. I like the colorful theming and lighting effects during the ride portion. Then the effect of the room inverting is particularly convincing with the movement this ride system has. Number 8, Neurogen. This VR attraction is the one upcharge attraction that will make this list. That is because it is one of the most mind-bending experiences I've ever encountered. It was downright creepy. Themed to a health clinic, you go on this weird adventure where you're bullied as a child and later take drugs at a party. This leaves you hallucinating, so you can't tell what's real and not real. I'm not sure if this ride's been removed or it's just discontinued with COVID, but it really was an acid trip, and I mean that literally. Number 7, Speed of Sound. Usually Vekoma boomerangs aren't high on these lists, but Speed of Sound is an exception. For one, this installation was retrofit with vest restraints so there's zero headbanging. This makes it easier to appreciate the super forceful layout. Those inversions pull some serious G's going both forwards and backwards. But what really makes this ride special are the lighting and audio. This turns the coaster into a dance party. Number 6, Rio Grande. This Vekoma River Rapids ride is a solid version. Most of the ride is hidden among the trees. This layout has a ton of rapids. None are all that powerful, but you will get a few splashes along the way. I particularly like the sequence towards the end with a seemingly never-ending series of small rapids that just kept on bouncing the boat. Number 5, Express Platform 13. This Vekoma launch coaster will feature a familiar layout if you've been to a Disney park. This is Rock and Roller Coaster, just outdoors. The launch has some good yank to it, and the first two inversions have some great positive Gs. The rest of the layout does a lot of meandering, but it is pretty smooth. But my favorite thing about the coaster is the theming. The queue line is themed to a haunted subway, and you have some effects during the station and launch. I just wish this was carried throughout to the main layout, which takes place entirely outdoors. Number 4, Crazy River. This mock log flume is a really fun layout. You have a backwards drop early in the attraction with some zip, and the final drop is a large double down that gives some nice weightlessness. There isn't too much else along the course to see, but the drops carry this flume. Number 3, Lost Gravity. The prototype mock Big Dipper reminds me of a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, but with a greater emphasis on airtime. This coaster is a wicked first drop combining wild laterals and ejector airtime. Then there are plenty of other hills that also launch riders out of their seat in both the first and second half. Then for variety, there's a sweet zero G roll in the second half with lots of hang time. I also love all the theming around this coaster, particularly those interacting with the on-ride elements. But this ride does have a flaw, the smoothness. This ride is quite shaky, and it did cause a headache after multiple rides for me. If this ride tracked smoothly, it would have claimed the second spot in this list. Number 2, Goliath. This mini Intamin Hyper reminds me a lot of Ride of Steel. Both coasters have a great start and end, but then you hit a lull towards the middle. This coaster's first drop is a good burst of ejector airtime in the back, awesome sustained ejector on the camelback, and a disorienting Stengel dive at the start. The middle S-hills and helixes don't do too much for me, but I do like their placement above the water. Then the ride returns to glory with the final bunny hills that offer some nice sustained ejector. While the pacing is a bit uneven, the great moments make this ride memorable, and I talk about this ride more in its own review. And coming in, number 1 is Untamed. This Rocky Mountain Construction hybrid conversion of the former Robin Hood wood coaster is my favorite coaster in all of Europe. I should add that I've only ridden this ride on days with heavy rain, so maybe it's been running a bit faster than normal, but this ride feels like a mini Steel Vengeance. The ride has relentless pacing and no shortage of elements, all of which will catapult you from your seat. I like how the first half features smaller versions of elements found on the larger RMCs. Then the second half has the endless blitz of abrupt bunny hills and ejector pops that RMCs are known for. All the elements hit for me, but my favorites are the super steep first drop, the double barrel roll with oodles of hang time, the giant camelback, the large outward banked hill, and the final inversion. Untamed always leaves me breathless, and this is some of RMC's finest work. I have a separate review gushing more about this coaster. So those are the top 15 rides and attractions at Walibi Holland. This is probably the best Walibi park for rides, primarily because of those great top 3 coasters. What are your thoughts on this Dutch park's top rides? Is Untamed your favorite as well? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.